All right. The Chargers Mack a move. We're going to talk Rams. The quest for an edge. There's another cap hit, and we're going to be talking football. This is RamView. I'm Joe Terosian, and this is RamView. And our job here is to talk sports, right? Talk about the Los Angeles Rams and this offseason as they gear up to win another Super Bowl. A lot of things have been coming in. I want to say thank you for your support again. My name is Joe Terosian. You can follow me on Twitter at JoeT13B at Twitter, same handle on Instagram. Subscribe and like here, as many have done this week. We're really appreciative. And just keep clicking, keep asking questions. I love engaging as we talk football. My background is 21 years as a sports writer. I write books. I'll talk about those later. And I'm also a pastor of a small church in Burbank. So there you go. That's what you need to know about me. I became a Ram fan in 1972. I became a diehard Ram fan on October 14th, 1973, when John Hadle threw 4 touchdown passes to Harold Jackson in the first half in a win over the Cowboys. So that's my backstory, and I thought we'd get that all out of the way ahead of time. All right. So one of the things I'm going to kind of enter into this whole thing is something I'm going to call Ram flack, and there's a lot of flack that goes out across the boards, and I know what it is. We all know what it is. Quite often it's just we want to just keep the hits coming, keep the conversation going. And I get that. I'm all good with that. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about the subjects because the subjects seem kind of out there. And if there's movement, great, but I just don't see it. And so I'm going to start right away with some just 4 quick names, and I'll just tell you what I think, and then we'll move in to the move the Chargers made going forward. Okay, so no, I don't want Roger Saffold back. He's been a solid lineman. He was a second-round pick of the Rams back in 2010, pre-Snead, and he was 33rd overall. And he had a nice career with the Rams. He was off and on injured, but his last few years he was pretty healthy. And then he had a nice run with the Titans, and they just cut him loose. But, the dude's going to be hitting 34, 35 this year. A lot of mileage. And he also ranked 74th overall amongst guards in the league. Not 74th, I'm sorry, 34th amongst guards overall. And he was actually ranked lower than David Edwards and Austin Corbett. And I just think it would be a risk to bring him back. Again, anything's possible. And no, another one that was buzzing around out there is the Rams having interest in Rob Gronkowski. Why? I guess, if they both want to come and work for the minimum, Saffold and Gronkowski, yeah, of course, you would take some veterans, add some depth, but I don't want to pay them a dime. If they want to work for the league minimum, great. The Rams just discovered they can win on a Super Bowl, not only with Troy Reeder and Ernest Jones playing the cover ball linebackers, they also found out they can win a Super Bowl without Tyler Higbee, mostly without Kendall Blanton, and getting 4 catches from Bryson Hopkins, and then using Ben Skowronek as a blocker. So I don't want to break the bank for any of these guys. If they want to come back and chase a ring, beautiful, awesome. Bobby Wagner, of course, I'd pay a little bit more. I wouldn't pay a whole lot more. Like I said, I just threw out a number. I didn't investigate it, but something like 2 for 12, 2 for 10, because, again, you don't need that position. That linebacker, off-ball linebacker, is not the most crucial position in football. But it would be nice to see Bobby Wagner come home, Colony High product, and everything. We started covering Colony at the mid after Wagner graduated and went to Utah State. But we had a nice run covering a lot of those Inland Empire schools there for a while. And Wagner would be great. I'd love to have him pay a little bit more, but I don't think it's a have to. And that's the same says with Corey Littleton. I saw another thing come across the Twitter, social media things. The Rams should have some interest in Corey Littleton. Hey, Corey Littleton's a great story. I don't know what it was. Was it 2016, 2015? 2016. I think he was a Snead find, free agent, wasn't drafted out of Washington, and the guy became a starter for the Rams, and he was devastating on special teams, blocking punts and everything. After the 2019 season, he signed a free agent contract with the Raiders, and it just didn't work out, and they just cut him loose. He'll be 29 when next season starts. He's been healthy, but got lost in that Las Vegas chaos. Remember Las Vegas? They didn't know what they were doing in terms of how would you say, they didn't know what they were doing in terms of defense. They've had so much turnover and so much chaos there. He never found his footing. He's still young, relatively speaking, middle-aged for football. He's going to be 29 next season. But if the price is right, great. Let's haul him in, but cheaply. Again, it's not a need that Corey Littleton's going to make a difference. We won a Super Bowl with Ernest Jones and Troy Reeder. On the PFF grade, Littleton graded out 62 out of 87, which is not good. But when you think about it, Troy Reeder was 74th out of 87. So those names, Littleton, Wagner, Gronkowski, Saffold, we don't need any of them. Wagner would be kind of nice, but the other ones, we just don't need them. But if they want to come for a great price, and that's again the culture the Rams have created, is that it is the environment for ring chasing. It is the place I might want to go to finish my career after I've made my bank. As I said about Wagner, I think Wagner's already made 84 rocks in his career. It was like 84 million. And we're talking about Von Miller yesterday. I think Von Miller's over 143. And after a while, you just want to win titles. You want to play meaningful football. You've made your dough. But hey, you got to make your dough. I get it. So if someone else is offering Saffold, Gronkowski, Littleton, Wagner more money, then God bless them via con Dios. But if you're the Rams, you're looking for culture. You're looking for people ready to win a ring, and you're not going to pay too much for positions that don't require too much. Going back to the Chargers, I don't pay much attention to the Chargers. They're in LA. They share SoFi. The Mid, where I used to work, my guys, Tim and Dwayne, they cover the Chargers. They're there at every home game. But I don't say much about the Chargers because they're the Chargers. They have a cheap owner and seemingly decades-long curse hanging over them. Whenever you expect something to go wrong, it'll happen to the Chargers, right? And so when I saw they re-signed Mike Williams for $3 and $60, that's 3 years, $60 million. I thought, okay, cool, that's great. You got Justin Herbert, you re-signed him. You've got some good pieces in the backfield. You got Joey Bosa, you got Derwin James, you got Samuel, you got Adderley, you got some guys in the secondary. You made the great draft pick along the line. I'm going to blow it. I think it's Rashawn Slater. You made some good moves. So, okay, good for the Charge. Austin Eckler was healthy most of the year. But I just don't think anything of the Chargers other than moving into L.A. and forcing their way into SoFi. But when they made this deal to bring in Khalil Mack, and of course this move was already in process, likely, but its optics impressed me. Wilson goes to Denver, and immediately, the very next day, you get the news that Mack is coming to the Chargers. And that is just such a great counter. It's a great chess move. I think I posted that on Twitter yesterday. What a great chess move. The Broncos made a provocative move by bringing in Wilson, and then whatever piece you want to say, the Chargers moved their knight or their bishop forward to block it, and so that's really raising the AFC West to another level, and probably might bear some attention. And they did this, and this is the interesting how they did this. They did this with a second and a sixth round draft pick. The two draft picks, a second and a sixth, the Chargers sent to Chicago for Mack, and of course his $63 million contract. I think he's a $17 million hit, 17 rock hit this year, but the Chargers have money. And again, as someone once said, not once said, but said the other day, free agency hasn't even started. And you're beginning to wonder if March Madness is really going to be about basketball, or is March Madness going to be about football? And so that's going to be interesting to watch. So it was a great move for the Chargers. And it's a move that says, hey, we're in this city too. And I really don't care they're in this city. I don't think anyone cares that they're in this city, not many. They still feel like San Diego to me, but good move for them because it's a proactive move that usually the Chargers don't make. And again, going back to why it was made or was in the process thereof, you got Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa coming off the edge to go after Patrick Mahomes, Derek Carr, and Russell Wilson, and that's going to make the AFC West incredibly tough. So Tom Brady. Speaking of Mr. Wilson, Tom Brady goes to Tampa and he wins a title 2 years ago. Matt Stafford goes to the Rams last year and wins a title. Is there any pressure on Wilson to win a title? Is that the most obvious thing that you'd say? Is that, yeah, he's the big trade. He's the big name quarterback, sustained quarterback that has moved. And everyone, of course, is locking the Broncos in. But again, you look at that AFC West, and is it a lock? When the Rams made the deal for Stafford, I think I talked about this about a month ago when we first started doing the show. The minimum expectation was NFC title game, right? Let's get to the NFC title game. And a loss to Tom Brady or Zen Rodgers in Lambeau Field would have been understood. But in the conference finals against the 49ers, a loss to the 49ers in that NFC title game at home would have been a meltdown. And so as soon as they beat the Buccaneers, and they found out they were playing the Packers, NFC title game wasn't good enough for the Rams. The bar had been raised. It became Super Bowl or bust. And so there was pressure there. So my question is, what's expected of Wilson? The Broncos are a young team. Their window is open, but Wilson's going to be 34. And given the state of the AFC West, again, the quarterback talent in the AFC, isn't a Super Bowl a lot to ask, especially if you're thinking first year? If he doesn't go to the Super Bowl's first year, is it going to be considered a bust? Are the Wolves going to come out? If he doesn't make it to the AFC title game his first year, do the Wolves come out? And we're seeing more and more of these teams paying more and more money to, or more and more, how would you say, compensation, more and more, giving up more ability to do things, commodities, as we would say in the draft, to make these big moves. And for the Rams and Buccaneers, it paid off, even though Brady was a free agent. But these teams, it paid off bringing in these names. And is it going to pay off for the Broncos? Because I think they got a tougher road to hoe than Brady and Stafford did. Yesterday news broke that there was another cap hit. And that's not salary cap. That's a Colin Kaepernick hit. I wrote a whole thing about it, and then I erased it all because I'm really tired of talking about Colin Kaepernick. This new workout video he's posted is a feeble attempt to stay relevant in a world that keeps moving on. Kaepernick's working out and wants another shot in the NFL. This recent workout is all about remaining relevant so he can cry foul when he's not signed. And Orwellian KBM, Kiss Butt Media, will continue to be his Praetorian guard and tell us all that he was a Hall of Fame-bound quarterback, a great quarterback, and that he should have had another shot. When his best career move was deciding to become an activist in terms of money, because when you lose your job to Blaine Gabbert, you're not an NFL quarterback anymore. You're just not, and you need to rebuild your career and come back in as a backup, and he wasn't willing to do that. So that's it on Kaepernick, and I'm sure he will be elevated to new talk this week about how somebody should sign him. Okay. But speaking of quarterbacks getting chased, the new quest in the NFL is not only to collect quarterbacks, but to collect edge rushers, as we talked about at the top. And it makes me thinking, how are the Rams going to keep their edge? Let's just say all goes right in the world, and Von Miller re-signs. He's going to be 33 next season. Leonard Floyd is going to be 30. And they're going to lose Ogbo Okoronkwo to free agency, likely. And thank you for the compensatory pick that will come with him. Maybe just a sixth rounder, but it'll be kind of, I can't expect Okoronkwo to stay. Someone's going to give him a shot because the new commodity, the new quarterback on defense is the edge rusher. So this leaves as backups right now, currently, Justin Hollins, 26, and Terrell Lewis, 24, as the young guys at the position, as the depth of the position. And really, do we know if they're going to be the guys that when everyone else moves on, are they going to be the guys to take their places? My lingering 20th century issue is not get off my lawn. It's the mentality and belief that an athlete after 31 begins to decline. And except for running backs, that's just not the case anymore. Running backs, like they said, never give them a second contract. Zeke Elliott. And thank you, Cowboys. But the rest of these players, they're so fine-tuned that what used to be peak is not necessarily their peak anymore, or it's a longer sustained peak. And so the window for the Rams, however, with Von Miller turning 33, Leonard Floyd turning 30, the window is now. Of course, everyone knows that, but it also tells us the Rams could go from the penthouse to the outhouse at the edge position in 2 years. Just like if Matthew Stafford got hurt, right? Just like if, doing what a Bosa does, if Joey Bosa goes down and Mack goes down. And this is not uncommon for the Chargers, right? Joey Bosa goes down, Mack goes down. He only played 7 games last year. And Derwin James, right? Those guys go down, and it's church. It's over for the Chargers next year. And so you can go from the penthouse to the outhouse real quick. And that's how valuable these edge rushers are and these defenders are in a league that's all about offense. You have to have somebody that can choke it off. And so if the Rams were to lose some way by injury, attrition, or in a couple years retirement, where are the Rams going to be? The team's invested in Hollins. They like Justin Hollins. He was released by the Broncos a couple of years ago. The Rams picked him up, dusted him off. We loved him in the offseason last year, and he was a starter, and he was grading out pretty well until I think it was a pec issue that sent him to the bench. He came back. By the time he came back, everything was kind of already in play, and then Von Miller came, and so he got some snaps in the Super Bowl. The team does like him, but he needs to break out this season. But how is he going to break out behind Miller and Floyd? And so it'll be interesting to see. I like him. I don't think he's an explosive edge. I think he holds the edge. He holds the run. Maybe he's a little bit better in coverage. But as far as the guy that's going to track down the quarterback, I don't know if Hollins is that guy, but we do like him. He's steady. And then the Rams also like Terrell Lewis. But like in college, the dude can't stay healthy. Lewis wasn't healthy in college. He hasn't been healthy with the Rams. And there is a lot of talent there with Terrell Lewis. But it's all about being healthy. And he's turning 24, and really would be nice to see him have this entire season, 2022, on the active roster, healthy all season, and making some plays in the Ogbo, Samson, Ebukam way. Those guys have been collecting 4 and 5 sacks in relief of the edge rushers. And so it would be nice to see Terrell Lewis kind of step into that role that has been filled the last 2 years by Ebukam and Okoronkwo. And so keep an eye on him. But after that, that's it. That's all the Rams have. They spent a 5th round pick last year on Ernest Brown. He was Ernest Brown the 4th, and he didn't see the field. And a 7th round pick on Chris Garrett as a D2 player, but neither of them played down last year. And they're edge rushers, but we don't know what we have in them. And with the Rams, you might not know for 2 years what you have in them. And so it wouldn't surprise me to see the Rams go after another edge rusher. Looking at the Mack trade as the example, edge players are the defensive equivalent of a quarterback, and you don't just need one now. You need 2. You need 2 if you're serious about a title run. And this means they get more and more expensive and a little more elite. In the latest mock draft, edge rushers, 6 edge rushers are going in the first round. Okay. The top 6 are Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan; Kayvon Thibodeau, Oregon; George Karlaftis at Purdue; Trayvon Walker, Georgia; David Ojabo at Michigan; Jermaine Johnson II at Florida State. And that's those games are outside of the Rams draft budget this year. They have 8 picks, but they're all beyond the first 100, and these guys are all scheduled to go in the first round. But that's 6. That's 6 edge rushers in the first 32. The rest are tackles and a few receivers and safeties. Excuse me. So what I listed on RamCave, and I'll list them again, and I'll just mention them here, and they've been included in our mock draft board. I'm just compiling names that we're hearing, names that are repeating themselves over and over and over and over again, that we're seeing that experts and draft people who are just so invested in the draft, what names keep popping up for them, and we'll read them off. But this is a list of off-ball linebackers, or edge linebackers. I'm sorry, we did off-ball earlier. Their names in the projected rounds that have surfaced during these drafts and during the post-combine add-ups, that who's good, who's not. And the names that have been circled for the Rams by most people are Nick Bonito out of Oklahoma, Dominique Robinson, Miami, Jeffrey Gunter, who has appeared on a couple of lists from Coastal Carolina for the Rams as a 5th and as a 6th, and Michael Clemens, Texas A&M, and Christopher Allen, Alabama. And so those are some of the names that you can look for if you should do what the Rams do. The Rams aren't all their cookies aren't in the center there just for day one picks, obviously, right? So as a Ram fan, be as nuanced as your team is and investigate these other names to make the 2nd and 3rd day of the drafts really important, because there we're finding our Nick Scotts, our Ben Skoronix, our Bryson Hopkins, our Ernest Jones. We're finding guys that are contributing, Greg Gaines, contributing to our our success as a team. So just keep looking at those names. They'll all be listed in RamCape, which this will be embedded in a little later today. And that's kind of about it. Again, I'm Joe Terosian. I want to say thank you. Please, if you liked any portion of this, hit like and subscribe. And we'll just keep building this as we build out towards a how do we say this, towards a podcast, and keep everything going. So this is my book, Sin Virus. It's an explicitly Christian novel, and this is my sports book, Tangent Dreams. There's also another football book out there. You can find these on Amazon. This is how I co-voke on my ministry as I work as a pastor in Burbank, but I also support myself through these means. And we would love it if you would just take a look at those things and hit, again, like, subscribe, ask your friends, talk to your friends, leave comments. I love to engage as we're going to keep talking about Rams and more Rams. I got my Dickerson shirt on. I'm rocking. Okay. Hey, thank you for clicking, and we will see you Monday.